My whole career, I've been told, it's not personal, it's just business. Bullshit. How can owning a business not be personal? So let's get into it. Let's get real, transparent, and authentic. Let's talk about the bullshit we face as business owners. Let's talk about the multiple hats we wear, the staffing challenges, the insane expectations, and even about the money. At Collective Alternative, we do marketing, but it's not who we are. So let's talk about it. Let's get personal.
Welcome to the Making Business Personal podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Today we are changing it up, and I am your host, Kaitlyn. I want to welcome Simon, our web developer. How are you today?
How's it going? Doing fine. How are you, Kaitlyn?
I'm pretty good.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So today we're talking about our new CA Tagger program. Are you ready to get started?
Absolutely.
All right. So this CA Tagger program was something that we were brought to you by a client, right? So tell me a little bit about how it came about, a little bit about what it does.
Yeah, absolutely. So the genesis of the CA Tagger program, let's just call it, started when a client came to us with a need for a tool and wasn't happy how an existing tool was performing for him. So what we did is we kind of ground zeroed it. We looked at exactly what it does, how it performs for people, and just devised some ways that we could recreate it. And it's thus far been very fun, first of all, but has provided some tremendous value, SEO value, and more specifically, local SEO value to a large part of our client base. Of course, it's not suited for everyone. It will have greater application in some contexts over others, but it's been just a lot of fun to work on and very cool to see become actualized.
Perfect. So you were talking about that SEO benefit.
Yes.
What does that look like? What are they doing to get that?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me back up just a tad bit here and tell you about what it is. So the CA Tagger program is pretty straightforward. It is a couple pages on your website where we will include a form and, more importantly, a map. And what this will do is it gives you or your contractors or whoever might be using the tool the ability to upload directly to the website via this form. You can define some alt text, which in the SEO sense is something that Google spiders, as they're colloquially known, will look at on an image, and they can better understand what that image is supposed to be. Google spiders can't watch videos, they can't see images. So really what they're doing is just trying to get a feel for what's on page. It's creepy feel, spiders. What they're doing here is uploading that image, defining some of that alt text, and then just putting in a little bit more information that might be good for SEO. And then that image is being taken, put into the WordPress media library on the back end of WordPress, and then that is automated and displayed on page for those Google spiders to look at.
What does that look like for, let's say, if I went to a website and I wanted to see what that looked like, or maybe I want to see if somebody in my neighborhood got to look at or saw that maybe it's a remodeler, to see if somebody had remodeled a house near me by this company, or how am I able to see that? And what does it look like for me as a consumer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started to mention that there are at least two different pages that will come with this program should you choose to work with us in the tagger capacity. There is an internal facing page. Again, that's for you or your contractors or whoever is doing the work to upload the photos to. But then there's also a public facing page as well. And that public facing page is a little bit prettier. It has things typically like testimonials, other things that will grab the attention of people visiting the page. It's not just, a map plop. The intention is for it to be user facing. So what that would look like for you, the person visiting that page, is you would land on the page and there would be a dynamic Google map on there. We're using Google Tiles so that you can see different locations around the installation or the service provided to give you a better feel for the area and just bring a sense of locality as well. Again, this is all local SEO. So you can, when you visit the page, you are presented with just a number of pins on that Google map. And as the user, you can click into these pins and it will show you the image, it will show you the location. And we're working on this every day. It's getting better with every iteration. We have plans to include things like a user uploaded testimonial or more data on this specific type of job as well. So it just keeps getting better and better, and very excited about it.
So when we are kind of giving this to clients, showing them what it looks like, what are the best clients to be on this system?
Yeah, anyone who provides a service really that is a tangible service that can be photographed really would benefit from this program. We have certain clients on it right now that are home installers that go to a client's house and install something for their quality of life. We also have people like remodelers and home builders where this is a great tool. Hey, every house that I've built not only is plotted on a map, has photographs, and all of this is indexable by search engines. It provides tremendous value there. But I think a case could be made for the vast majority of our clients that it has some sort of application. And again, it really goes down to who's going to be using it on the front end. Is it going to be somebody in your truck driving around the city? If you have that kind of presence in the city, we want to demonstrate it. And what this does is it really acts as a geofence as well. What areas am I in? What services am I providing in those areas? And that, again, plays into the local SEO part of this whole thing, where people will be able to find you more easily and say, hey, this person installed this really cool thing in my neighborhood. I should be next on the list.
You were talking about installers or the people that are going to be inputting this data. How easy is it to input this data?
Love it. Yeah, it's super easy. And that's intentional, right? So there have been a couple iterations of this tool. And as mentioned, it's only getting better. The version 1 was a little bit less user-friendly than it is now. We had a form that erred on the side of what's called EXIF data exclusively. What EXIF data is it's your precise GPS mapping when you took the photo. So some people might be familiar with it. You get on your iPhone and it has that little map. Hey, you took this photo during your vacation in Paris. What wonderful memories. That same data can be leveraged for your marketing. How cool, right? So you would upload the photo via this form, and then that EXIF data would chart that exact location on the map. We found that was a little bit difficult for some of our Apple using clients. So we pivoted towards a GPS location approach. The EXIF data is still there for your historical photos. You can still lean on that to upload some photos that you might have of existing jobs. But really the primary functionality is for that person in the truck. So they'll show up on a job site, they'll take the photos, and then all they have to do is hop on that page on their mobile device. And to get a little technical here for just a quick moment, we have a JS drop zone on the form itself. So you can upload as many photos as you'd like within reason, of course. Your website needs to be able to handle it. And then you can upload them directly to the website. And what's beautiful about this is there's no EXIF data. All you have to do is allow your location, which you're probably already doing on your mobile device.
And could they use like a tablet? Are we giving them those keywords? I mean, we're really setting them up for success for those installers to do minimal work to make it easiest on them to get the most out of this system.
Absolutely. So part of the onboarding of this tool is defining some of those key phrases or keywords. What kind of services do you provide? What kind of SEO do you want to bolster around what areas? This is all a conversation on the front end. And then we'll go away, do a little bit of setup, and then bring you this tool. But yes, you do have the option to define additional keywords. You can, of course, use what we've set for you. But really, it's a customized tool for you and your business. Should you need an additional dropdown, should you need some additional alt text, or if there's any special functionality that you'd like to incorporate into this tool, it is a proprietary collective alternative tool. We developed it in-house, so we have complete control over it. And yeah, as mentioned, it's just getting better by the day.
I love it. It's very exciting for us to see this kind of growth and get a different platform for our clients to use to create more leads in a more organic way. Going back to that and that SEO piece of it, how is this helping with ranking? I know this is kind of new for a majority of the clients that are using this. but what can we see or look for in that ranking soon?
Yeah, absolutely. So as with anything in the SEO world, it takes a little bit of time. So we're setting this up, and we'll see results a little bit farther on down the line. Of course, we'll measure those results if you're working with us based on metrics, analytics, things like that. So we'll be able to demonstrate the value of the tool to you. So again, as mentioned, we are really honing in on local SEO here, and what that is it's not the first couple of things that show up on page one. It's not the advertisements that you see through paid media, things like that. What we're really looking at are things like search engine response pages, which if you've ever done a search for anything, you've probably seen on Google. What they are is you have probably seen the little pinpoints on a map that kind of usurps all search results when you're searching for something specific. So, this being local SEO, we're not targeting people in Houston if we're in Indianapolis. This is really for people in your neighborhood, in your area. But honestly, it can be used as far out as cities and different counties in Indiana. We have a client who uses it that is even pushing the greater Indianapolis definition. So it's really multifaceted, but it hones in on that local SEO component.
I know that we've had some of our clients ask, do the pictures need to look pretty? How pretty or how nice do they have to be? Can you highlight a little bit of that? I know that when I'm looking at stuff, I'm more looking for what they've done, who they've worked for near me. But what are you seeing on your end?
Yeah, so there's two parts to this, right? There's the SEO value, which we've already touched on quite a bit, but this is also a user-facing tool as well. So I guess my answer to that would be, as long as you're comfortable with a customer seeing it, a potential customer, a potential buyer, then it's good enough. I wouldn't be posting pictures, before and after pictures, things like that, because it might have some confusion. Hey, what's this before picture doing on here? This looks maybe not so good. So really snapping a couple of high quality images would go a long way. And again, this is really to demonstrate the geofence, the areas in which you work. So you're entirely right. Yes, people do want to see their neighbors getting renovations, their neighbors having these services performed. And that really is the trust builder here. That's the pivotal key component to it. But, it being user facing, I would probably want some nice images on there as well.
I know that it is taking people like 15 to 20 times of seeing something to make a decision. I feel like this could be something that could cut that down a little bit, knowing that your neighbor, Sally, got their plumbing done or got a tree cut down or something of that kind of home service, or maybe it's something else, but they received that kind of service and they were happy with it. You see the product, you see their testimonial. I feel like that talks and speaks to way further than an ad might or something of that. Would you agree?
Absolutely. You can get on Google and see tens of, let's just say, tree service providers, but having that personal aspect to it and also seeing the breadth of their work. Hey, my uncle used this tree company and he's on this map, or, maybe even somebody in my neighborhood. These are real, tangible people in your life. A company is a company, and whether you choose to work with them is totally, up to you. But this is just another value add, a demonstration of their ability, a demonstration of their locality, and their demonstration of their ability to help you directly even.
Okay, so you were mentioning that we can do some historic data, or you mentioned that there's a possibility of some historic data, or clients have done it in the past. What does that look like? What do they need to put that historic data on there to get that set up if that's something that they're interested in?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways that we can do that. First of all, it's worth mentioning that not all phones are collecting EXIF data by default. So you may, and this is unfortunate, you may have a vast swath of historical photos that do not contain any EXIF data whatsoever. Also complicating things, when you upload photos to certain places, Google Drive is a good example of this, that data is considered bloat. unneeded data. So it is stripped out entirely and just placed in the drive.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah. So, it is a good tool for kind of salvaging those. And should that be the case for you, we can plot that data manually. Hey, I built this really cool house, I really need to get it on the map. We will plot that data for you. That's no big deal at all. It's, of course, nicer to have the EXIF data, but that doesn't mean we can't do a little bit of data entry there. But what it looks like, should you have photos and should those photos contain EXIF data, the second part, is just, again, another form upload. So that is the same form at this point, again, subject to change. For the better, of course, where you would just check a box saying, hey, this is historical data. This is not something that I want to use my current GPS location on. And then those photos are uploaded the exact same way, straight to the media library. And then they're just plopped right on the map using that EXIF data as opposed to your current GPS location.
Well, that's an awesome option because obviously this is brand new. So people who have been taking pictures for years could have that EXIF data on those photos.
Absolutely.
And be able to use that information still for their benefit, which I love, using old stuff and making sure that we're not recreating the wheel, as we like to say it around here. Security, though, whenever you are putting that in, what does that look like? How are we putting in that data to make sure not only our client feels safe, but the consumer feels safe? What are we doing on our end? How can we do levels or different things to keep that information safe?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can talk about, at first, the submission itself is end-to-end encrypted, meaning that, of course, we use secure socket layer certificates, SSL certificates, on all of our site as per the, 5-year-old standard now. We definitely want to make sure that's on there. And what that means is anything you're uploading via the form, the photo itself, any of the data that you're inputting, it is not being stolen along the quote-unquote hops that it is making to the server and beyond to the users. Beyond the form itself, we have a couple of different measures in place. So it's worth mentioning that GPS data is imprecise compared to EXIF data. EXIF data will tell you this fly is on this wall in this home, in this city, in this state, in this country. GPS data is a little more general, and you may have noticed this as you're navigating with things like Google Maps, Apple Maps. It'll tell you, hey, you're within a couple cars length of this particular spot, and it may take a little bit to catch up. That same methodology applies to this form as well. A photo might appear in the middle of a cul-de-sac as opposed to directly on top of a house. And even further, if you have an area with a lot of services provided in that area, a lot of pins on that map, what it will do is it will cluster them together. So instead of there being just a innumerable amount of pins on this map, what we have is a circle with a number, a circle with a 20, let's just say. And when you click on that 20, it will show you all of the images in that area. So it's imprecise while still A, passing that data along to Google Spiders, but B, demonstrating where you are geographically on the map.
That would be so cool to see with like a roofer after a storm. I think about my neighborhood after the storm that we just had not too long ago, and they were obviously walking, canvassing our neighborhood, and you would see all the different roofers in our neighborhood, but many of them are the same. So I could just see our neighborhood. There'd be like a 10, a 15, a 5, just because there's so many of the same. But I could see that happening and being very beneficial for them when people are looking up information or what roofer to use for their damage from that storm or at any time, really. So I think that'd be very beneficial to just see, even in cluster form.
Totally. And that actually stemmed from a client suggestion for a usability improvement. Hey, I've got a ton of contractors in this area, and it's just creating a little bit of mess on my map. So how can we clean this up a little bit? So not only is, it everything that I said, but it's also a little bit nicer from the user perspective. They can just, click in there and, hey, here are all the photos.
I could see that. I think that would be a very clean version. So speaking of clients and wanting different things for this and having some different ideas that maybe we haven't thought of just yet, or maybe it's just some personal preferences.
Yeah.
What are our future plans for this? What's coming next?
Absolutely. And I mean, that's kind of the cool thing about this, and the cool thing for the clients getting in on the ground level is they really get to see this grow, and they get to kind of ideate and share that feedback with us. And really cool part of this program, generally speaking, is when we make improvements on one client's version of the tool, we make it to all of the. That's not to say that it's not still uniquely custom to you, but any improvement is applied across the board to all of our clients using this tool. So hey, we make it so that this new Google API is in our maps, just to increase that user experience. That gets rolled out to everybody. So when you're getting in on the CA Tagger program, and I'd imagine from a price standpoint, it's only going to go up from here. You really are getting not only your suggestions, the benefits that you want, but we have a team of developers here at CA that are constantly ideating on this along with our clients as well. So that's been very cool and very fun for me to work through. But some of the immediate plans that we have on the horizon are, again, those testimonials that we were talking about, being able to click and expand out a little bit more information per listing. And again, that's going to look like the form submission. What are we uploading via the form? And that's all going to be tied into that exact photo. So I can click on an exact photo and read a little bit. And of course, this is all entirely up to you. Read a little bit about the service that was provided. Read a little bit about the unique need for that service, or how they were helped via this service, which is pretty neat. We're also working on some aesthetic things, like different displays for the tool. A click to pop out below the map, or a scrollable sidebar, things like that, just to again enhance the user experience. But as it sits right now, the SEO component of this is pretty dang flushed out. It's there, so I'd say that's the biggest draw at this point. But again, we're just constantly improving it.
I love the work on it. I love being able to sell it. Me in my position, I've taken it to a few new clients or to some prospective clients, and everybody's been on board, has really liked the idea. I had one client even take it to corporate to see if corporate would like to just use it across the board. So different things coming there, but we do have interests, and I think a lot of them are trying to wrap their heads around it, but hopefully this podcast helps kind of bring that together so they can understand that a bit better. But if not, they were really loving the idea of SEO. That's been such a big topic for years now, and figuring out a way to do some more organic work so it's not spending so much on ads that are always increasing their price per click, or maybe it's just the amount of money that you have to spend period on just to get some visibility out there. This is a different avenue, and I love that we've kind of put that together, and then we have a new sub-program part of CA that we get to really show our clients how we are stepping outside of our box and creating things to help them better their company, get better ROI, which is all about what we do, relationships and results. So thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And if I could just plug my department really quickly, this is just one example of the way that you can bring a unique need to Collective Alternative, and we will produce the results. This is something that, again, stemmed from a meeting with a client, and inspiration comes in all forms. I'm a firm believer of that. And, necessity is the mother of invention as well. I'm a believer in that as well. So should you have a problem that you just can't solve, should you need to ideate on a problem, should you just need a little bit more advanced of a tool, you can always come to us and have the conversation. We'd be happy to have it with you.
Always. And I'll make sure I bring Simon to those meetings so he can talk through that ideation.
Aye.
Well, thank you so much for listening today. Our next podcast is all about media. I know you guys have been hearing those weird words coming from Google about Performance Max, and maybe you've even heard about CTV and OTT. You might be wondering what those things are. We're going to dive deep into those next month. So please join us next month and listen to our next podcast. Thank you again. Have a great day.
At Collective Alternative, affectionately known as CA, we do marketing, but it's not who we are. It's important that we're good at what we do, but it's so much more than that. It's about showing up as we are and living that out each day. So let's talk about it. Let's get personal.